Welcome, everybody. We are excited that you're joining us today. So, if you're ready to master time by knowing how you work and understand what's stealing your time, you're in for a real treat. I know I'm excited to discover how I can reclaim my day. So, before we let our presenter, Suzanne, take over, we have just a couple housekeeping things. First, corn mazes, hay rides, or pumpkin patches. What is something this fall that you never want to miss? Drop it in the chat. The chat is where we're going to do most of our communications today. I know Suzanne will have some interactions throughout. Pop it in the chat. We're going to monitor it. If you have questions come up, that's where we want to see them go. So make sure you start out your by knowing where that chat is at the bottom right hand of your screen. And then these webinars are brought to you free, and we want to thank our wonderful partners and sponsors who make them possible. Today, we're featuring Hay Bale Banners. We wanted to bring a spotlight. They have been a member since 2008 as well as a featured sponsor for today's event. They're based in Enders, Nebraska, and Hay Bale Banners specializes in designing and printing unique full-color waterproof vinyl banners, specifically crafted to attach securely to large round hay bales. These are eye-catching banners for perfect for promoting events, businesses, agricultural products, and more, with options like removable date stickers and blizzard strap kits for those high Nebraska winds. Hay bale banners ensures messages stand out, rain or shine. Their innovative approach has made them a go-to choice for rural and community marketing across the country. And now I'm going to pass it over to Tanya to let us know our featured member.
Yes, our featured member is Class and Land and Cattle. They've been a member with us since 2023. They're a family-run farm and they're dedicated to sustainable farming and premium all-natural Black Angus beef. And so they raise right from the pasture to the table. They focus on quality and just keeping the farm traditions alive for future generations. And so you can find their products at any local farmers market close to where they're located in their storefront, or they can also ship directly to you. So definitely check Class and Land and Cattle out. And then also, if you're ever interested in learning how you can partner with Grow Nebraska or just see if Grow Nebraska membership is right for you, Cami and I would love to meet with you to have that conversation to just see how we can support your business growth or even get you connected to other resources if it's not the right fit at the moment. But I'm going to pass it on over to Suzanne to have her take it away.
Hey everyone. Well, thank you. That was amazing. I appreciate all the information, and I can attest to Cami and Tanya and their support and just the resources that Grow Nebraska has. I've used them for many years in my corporate life. I've used them in my entrepreneurship life, and I refer them often. So thank you for all the work that you do, and thank you to the sponsors, and just go support all of the things. So I'm really glad to be here. We are talking today about my favorite subject, which is how we take control over our time more and how we actually have control over our time much more than we think. And that is an unpopular opinion often. And I get it. I totally get it. So but I will also tell you that how we're going to do some of that today is all around knowing yourself better. And the more we know ourselves and our self-awareness, the more we can take that control when we have the opportunity and do so more in managing our time. So I will dive in. First of all, I'm just a check in the chat. Can everybody see my screen? Are we good technology wise, Tanya and Cami? And just want to check in on that before we head on.
No, you'll need to reshare that screen. We cannot see it right now.
Well, you can't see it yet. Okay, we'll see. That's why we check. All right, let me check here. Bear with me. It's showing up now?
Not yet.
All right, I'm going to go completely out because we tested all this, ladies and gentlemen.
We did.
That's what it worked perfectly fine.
And while Suzanne is getting that pulled up, if everyone wants to just kind of maybe pop in the chat what businesses everyone is with. We'd love to know what industries are on today's webinar.
I'd love to know that too. Okay.
There we go. Yep.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome. Welcome, Rick. We're so excited you're on.
All right. Do you guys see my screen now?
We do. We still
Okay.
see it within, so I don't know if you want to make it full screen on this one.
Yep, I would like to.
Oh, Jen, thank you for commenting about the childcare center and for taking time out of your busy, busy day.
All right, we're gonna try this one more time. Where do I do this? Anybody? Sorry, let me go. I'm gonna go back out. Stop sharing again. Go back out and try this again. We'll get here.
Welcome, Betsy. We're so excited you're on as well.
This is about the time I like to say technology is great when it works.
Right, exactly. I don't know why.
Perfect. You are golden now.
Okay, see? Okay, I'm glad I checked. All right, welcome everyone. So I'm Suzanne Combs Brown, and as I said, we're going to talk today about my favorite subject, which is us, ourselves, our own self-awareness, and how that directly impacts how we manage our time. So I want to start by just a question for you, and you can put it in the chat, or you can just think about it yourselves. But I want you to think about your brain. And when you think about your schedule and your calendar and how you view time, give me an example of a picture that comes to mind for you about how your brain is with time. So for me, my brain is like a newspaper. So I picture just this I'm showing my seasonality, but columns of writings and journalism in a newspaper. And it's like a newspaper when I think about my brain or when I think about time, because it contains a lot of information. And then I put it into many different categories and sections, and that's how I determine my actions and my priorities. So I think of a newspaper when I think about what my brain looks like and how it thinks about time. So I want you to just answer that for yourself. And if you want to throw it in the chat, you're more than welcome to do so. But think about how your brain processes time and your relationship with time, because we're going to talk about that as we move along today in our time together. All right, so a little bit about me, a little bit more about me. I mentioned that we're going to talk a lot about self-awareness and how each of us plays a huge factor in our relationship with time, and our own self-awareness about who we are is really a factor in how we manage our time. So I'm really self-aware to know that I didn't just arrive and become who I am without the help and the support and the growth and the partnerships with others. So this is my amazing family here. We are a large group. So at the top, you'll see my mother-in-law and my parents, and then the whole left side and the platform, that's all mine. That's my husband and our 5 adult children and some of their partners and spouses and our 5 grandchildren. And we're actually missing one because Dirks is only 18 months old. So he's not in here. And then on the right side, you see my sister and her husband and their family. So we have a really diverse, large family that has different views and different opinions. And our upbringings make a big part of who we are and how we show up. And quite frankly, our relationship with time. And as I look at my family, they really are a huge part of my coaching approach and how I've approached really leaning into my business as an entrepreneur. I started my career in corporate. So I was in corporate and senior level leader roles for about 23 years. I started my business as an executive leadership and career coach about 8 years ago. And the reason I started it is because I saw so many leaders that had so many amazing behaviors and attitudes and wanted to do well, but they weren't armed with the skills to help them be successful in their entrepreneur life or in their corporate role or in their nonprofit board role. And so I really set out many years ago to coach and develop leaders in the sense of self-awareness and how that really drives everything around their life. And then that gives them confidence and clarity. So I love working with leaders just around that confidence and clarity. And we start with self-awareness every time. So a little bit about my family and a little bit about my career professional background, if you will. And I always like to say my family comes into that because my leadership experience comes from all of my life, not just my entrepreneur life and my career life. All right. So today we're going to discover your time management strengths and we're going to talk about some of your potential blind spots because your blind spots are bottlenecks for your business. And that's something that we need to be very clear about. We're going to identify some peak productivity times for you to focus some high energy tasks and when you focus on your low energy tasks. We're also going to understand how some of your internal habits and your leadership style impact your flow of your day and how you can set that up. And we're going to begin building a time strategy that supports your growth and sustaining this as the seasons of your life and your business change. So I want to also call out here, there's a QR code for a workbook. Cami and Tanya, if you can confirm, I put the link also in the chat. Again, I don't want to get hung up. Technology is wonderful when it works. And if it doesn't work, I don't want it to slow us down. And what's really important is talking about this topic today. So any activity we're doing today, you can do it on pen and paper wherever you are right now, even if you can't access the workbook. So it's there. If you can access it, great. If you have problems, just make sure you have a pen and paper. All right.
And you're spot on. That link is in the chat. So if people are wanting to follow the link, they can.
Perfect. All right. So none of us are living life to be measured, hopefully. Hopefully, we're living life so that we can live it. And Kendra Adachi is someone who has written a book called The Plan. She also has a podcast called The Lazy Genius. And if you haven't heard of her or listened or tried out her concepts, I recommend that highly. But a lot of the concepts of today, in combination with some other resources, are from some of her research and some of what she teaches. And so we're going to apply some of our lazy genius energy and some of our high genius energy to some of the work and some of the ways that we're going to go about our management of our time today. So let's start off. What is self-awareness? It's a mindful consciousness. It's knowing your strengths. It's knowing your weaknesses. And it's also being aware of how you show up in surroundings. It's also having perception of triggers and knowing what those triggers could be. And then self-awareness, it requires having a clear perception of your mental and emotional state. So how do you feel when you enter a room? How do you feel when you step into a networking event or a meeting or a business plan discussion, right? And it's being aware of how your body is reacting. Do your hands get clammy? Do you feel something, on your face, whatever that may be? So that is self-awareness. And if I asked each of you if you felt you were self-aware, you can even put in the chat a thumbs up if you feel like you're self-aware. But what I'm going to share with you is that typically when I ask this question about feeling self-aware and if you feel like you are someone who's self-aware, I typically get about half, at least 50% at minimum, that raise their hands, that give me the emoji thumbs up in the group that says, yeah, I'm self-aware. Well, here's what I'll tell you, and just keep an open mind today as we're diving into our self-awareness and how that leads to all of our management of our time. Actually, Tasha Urich is a researcher all around self-awareness. And in all of her research, what she has found is that about 80 to 95% of us feel like we are truly self-aware, but that only 10 to 15% of us truly are. So the great news with that is that most of us have things that we can learn from today. We have things that we can learn more about ourselves and be more aware so that we have less bottleneck in our business and we can control, in essence, of today's topic, more of our time. So hopefully you see the positive side of that. All right. So why should we care about self-awareness in terms of leadership? First of all, we make better decisions when we're more self-aware. We have better communication because we can meet the needs of others and their communication styles. We also have increased emotional intelligence. When I talked about how do you feel when you walk into a room, are you able to identify and see others in that room and kind of get a feel for how they're feeling in that space? And then we have adaptability, better adaptability as leaders. As we know, business, whether you're a business owner or you work in corporate, nonprofit space, wherever you are, the ability to adapt to change and to not get fully comfortable in any one setting is huge for your own self-awareness and how you do that best. So here's another factor as we look at self-awareness and how that impacts our own leadership then and our self-awareness and that impacts our total team dynamics, your business dynamics, your organization's dynamics. So by you being self-aware as the owner of the business or the leader of the department or organization, you are going to then foster and promote open communication with your organization. That's going to trickle to your customers and your customers having open communication with the organization. You're creating trust in your environment with your own self-awareness and how that trickles. You're enhancing your team collaboration. When I'm aware of how I work with my peers and my customers, that is a huge factor in how we can resolve conflicts in the next bullet, or how we can collaborate and partner ahead of time to be more proactive and less reactive. And at the same time, as I said, since only 10 to 15% of us are truly self-aware based on research, that means we all have personal and professional growth, or most of us. I'm going to put myself in the space of can always become more self-aware. We all have growth. We all can develop in this area, no matter where we are in our business journey and in our career journey. All right, so we're going to start a little different than you might be used to thinking about time. And this is in your workbook if you've accessed that. And again, if you don't have that or it's not working, grab a pen and paper. And I just want you to take a minute to kind of walk through. And we're going to start with the things that would be or make your not to-do list. Now, I want to be really careful. I want you to think about this. Don't put too much thought. Like, you will put down stuff that's out of my control. And then you'll say, but I mean, it's out of my control, but technically I have some, you'll start to play that game. I'm not asking you, this is not a concrete activity. This is, think of it as spaghetti at the wall. I'm going to throw some things on here on my not to do list. That doesn't mean that I'm removing them quite yet, but we're going to use some of this to think about some of the work we're doing in the next 40 minutes around our self-awareness. So as you're writing, I'll walk through these for you. And again, we're not going to take a ton of time and you can go back and do this. But this is a great activity that I start a lot of clients and with some of my groups on, because we often always think about the things that we have to do and the things that are necessary, but we don't also often do an inventory of what we don't need to do or what potentially we've always done because it's been our job, but maybe it's not our job anymore. Maybe it could be someone else's. So in your business, in your career, and we're going to focus in that area. What are some things that are out of your control? Like, I don't have to think about those because I truly don't have control over them. What are some things that waste your time that you're doing right now? Again, you might have to do them right now in your mind, but what if they're a waste of time to you? What if you feel like they're wasting your time? Things that you're obliged to do. What do you feel obligated to do? If you're sending a follow-up email to a certain employee or a certain business partner because they didn't read the first two and you're on your third follow-up, do you feel obligated to do that? Maybe that's something that you feel obligated to do. I'm not saying you shouldn't yet. I'm just saying that's an obligation. Stuff that's other people's responsibilities. Have you taken on some things that you feel like are other people's responsibilities that they could do, just haven't taken that step yet for them? Stuff that you don't trust anyone else to do well enough. This is a big one, right? It takes a lot to be aware of where we're really struggling and letting go of something and deciding in that process if we should keep that or if it truly could be done by someone else. And maybe we have some self-awareness work to do in terms of could they do it and get the result I need, but do it in their way? And how is that okay? The other one is stuff that doesn't actually need to be done. What stuff are you doing in your business that doesn't need to be done? I remember when I was first building my coaching business, I spent a lot of time doing, building the website and social media marketing and all the things that were behind the scenes. And I invested in a business coach program for a year. And one of the things that she said was, you're busy doing a lot of things that aren't making you money and getting you out there to meet new clients. So how do we actually determine what needs to be done? And for me, growing my business and was the number one thing was meeting people and letting them know what I'm doing. So I had to really get honest with myself about that and my not to do in the things that I thought I needed and didn't actually need at that moment, but needed to concentrate on other things. All right, and the last one here is stuff that someone else could do. This is where maybe you're doing something in your business and you thought about a delegation or an opportunity for them. List it here. And again, this is just a brain dump. You're not taking any action yet. You're not committing to these. These are just things to think about, and it's a different way to think about our time and get us started on the things that could be taking up our time that we possibly could think about differently. Okay, so with self-awareness, and we'll come back and you'll be able to use that resource that we just did in your not to-do list. But some of the ways to build self-awareness, since we all mostly have an opportunity to do so, is in many different avenues. I have a few listed here that are my tried and true. Self-reflection is a huge opportunity in terms of just pausing and reflecting on your day, your week, your month, whatever that looks like to you. And also not getting hung up on the how here. It can be just thinking about it. If you're someone to write something down, if you have an app you want to use, but self-reflection is so powerful in how we kind of reflect on different aspects of our business and our career and our life that we want to kind of have some awareness around, and you'll identify trends there. Seeking feedback. This is a huge one and one that is often talked about often in business and companies, but truly creating a culture of feedback in terms of asking beyond the surface questions. I see a lot of companies and leaders asking feedback questions, but they're often questions about what I call surface level, like how's things going for you? What's something we could do differently, right? Those are great questions, but they often are surfacey answers, as I would say. So going deeper, and we're going to talk about a little bit of ways of how to go deeper in feedback and get really great information from feedback for your own self-awareness. Assessment tools, there's personality assessments. I'm going to tap a little bit into Emergenetics, which is the tool that I use and love to use, but assessment tools are a great way to learn more about yourself and others. 360-degree feedback, for those of you that are familiar, just a refresher, or for those of you that aren't aware, 360 feedback is so powerful in terms of getting feedback and awareness about yourself with different partners that you have. So for instance, I work with a lot of leaders and we'll do 360 feedback with their boss, asking survey questions. They'll answer about themselves. And then you also get it about people that directly report to you in your lineage. And so it's very powerful in your own self-awareness to see how you're showing up with different partners in your business and your perception of yourself versus or in partnership with your boss and or with people that are working for you and with you. So powerful, powerful tool. All right, so I mentioned self-reflection in one of those. And just an example of how you can go about, there's an exercise in your workbook, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it can be as simple as just 3 questions. What are 3 things that you are excited about or grateful for that happened yesterday? What are 2 things that you wish went differently? And then today, what's 1 thing that you're looking forward to? That is a self-reflection exercise. That is all about looking at and being conscious of there's positive things happening around us all the time. and there's things that we can improve on. And that just that self-reflection exercise alone and doing it in the amount, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly for you is huge in looking at trends and kind of seeing from your own self-awareness lens, what are some things you notice? Like, what are some things that you are struggling with on a regular basis in the trends that you noted in disappointments? And is that a trend? And what are some things that you have control or some awareness you need to have around that in your upcoming work and your upcoming, business journeys? So it's a quick exercise. It allows you to really just take to reflection and do it in a really quick way, even on a daily basis, if that's the rhythm that you like. All right, so I mentioned emergenetics, and this is a personality assessment that I am certified in and I love to use. And I just want to bring this in for a couple of things around time. First of all, your own awareness of how you look at time and your relationship with time is a huge factor to you and how you manage your own time, and also understanding how others in your business and in your corporation manage time. So I just want to highlight very high level emergenetics. Um, it is 7 attributes that we look at. 4 of them are thinking preferences, which are analytical, structural, social, and conceptual. And then 3 of the attributes are behavioral. And they are expressiveness, assertiveness, and flexibility. And we use those 7 attributes to really look at the makeup of a person in terms of the behaviors that we show and lean into naturally, and the thinking preference and what's going on up here, the thinking preferences that we have. Here's the thing, 85% of the population has more than one preference, and there is over 50% of the population that can go either or, right? They can lean towards expressive or assertive based on the situation, or lean an opposite direction, if you will. So it's just very high level in understanding, but I want to tie it to time, because this is where personality assessments can become extremely powerful in terms of your own awareness and knowing your relationship with time. So if you resonated with an analytical in that brief description, like I said, very high level, an analytical person in relation to time typically would lose energy when your surroundings are disheveled. You would want advance notice on last minute projects or last minute changes. And you know what to file and you know what to toss. Like, you're very keen on keeping things and what isn't necessary, right? So very resourceful in that area. Structural thinking preferences around time. You like to plan your time for projects. You probably schedule them out in more detail in a calendar. Many of these attributes would schedule, but you schedule them out. You follow set procedures. You also like predictability. You like when things are dependable, right? So someone says that this project is going to be, run from this time. You like that time frame to be fairly accurate, if not very accurate for you. And then you have pre-designed systems for time management. So you probably already have your own system and you've tried various ones and it works for you. And then social, if you're a social preference, you can be easily sidetracked. You might have like 20 things you want to work on, and all of a sudden by the end of the day, you might have some 25 because you added 5 and you didn't work on several of the 20 that you had planned. You prefer to be flexible in your schedule. Like, well, I could do this, and I'll decide at the moment and how I feel. And then you save everything. You may need it someday, right? I remember my corporate career, and I had emails I had saved for literally over 15 years. And so part of my preference is social, and this makes total sense for me. And then conceptual, you lose energy after the big picture is shared, because when you go into too much detail, it just shuts you down. You're comfortable with those last minute projects. Like, if something changes, you are the person where you're like, oh, we'll figure this out. We got this. Like, no big deal. It's done. And you create your own system. Like, there's a million out there, but you're like, you know what? This doesn't work for me. My daughter-in-law is a great example of this. She's a nursing student, and she created a study system for herself that's 3 by 3, where she takes 3 times a day, where she studies 3 topics, and she does it in 3 minutes. This is a system that works for her, and she made up her own system. So this is just a little bit of information in terms of what time, like how we resonate with time and how our self-awareness of that is so powerful for our own selves and how we work, but also knowing that about the partners we work with, about the people we work with, about the customers we work with. And although you aren't going to give a personality assessment to all of them, you can see in reactions and how people behave often some of what might resonate with some of these preferences and start to adjust your approach a bit to how you manage that and how you partner with them and how they approach time. So, all right, let's talk about your personal brand. And I'm just going to touch on this a short amount of time here, but your personal brand and self-awareness, a huge factor in terms of your connection and what that means. And I'm sure with all of you as business owners, leaders, nonprofit leaders, whatever your role is in your career right now, you're very aware of your brand for your business. And also, just as important, if not more important, your personal brand. And the fact that we are aware of our personal brands in the sense of us being perfectly clear on what others think of us. And also, what do we think of ourselves in terms of certain situations? So, with your personal brand, there's an assessment, not an assessment, let's call it, well, personal brand assessment in your workbook. And there's some questions within that assessment that are tied to your personal brand when you're in meetings. So I want you to take just a minute, and I'm going to pause here and give you a minute or two just to work in your workbook and pull up those questions on the personal brand assessment. But thinking about your awareness of how do you show up to meetings? Are you prepared for meetings? Have you reviewed what the meeting is about and come in with the information you need to partake in that meeting in the way that showcases and shows the personal brand that you want to exhibit? How do you show up in your email communication? Have you ever thought about, and are you aware of how you communicate by email to others and what them receiving your email is like? Or, oh, Messenger is a good one. I'm sure some of you use Teams Messenger or Slack or other tools in your settings. Have you thought about how your messages through Messenger forums have a direct correlation to what people are determining your brand is? And is it aligned with what your awareness of what you want your personal brand to be? This is also a really, really great question and a team activity. Have you ever sat down with your team and said, what do you want your personal brand to be? What is your personal brand? And ask others how they view you. Is it aligned? This is a great checkpoint in terms of understanding what your personal brand, what you want it to be, and how others see that. So I'll give you just another minute or so, 30 seconds to a minute to kind of walk through the personal brand assessment. I also, in this while you're working, personal brand also is something that we should make part of our self-awareness check-in on a regular basis. So I think it's something that we kind of hang our hat on in terms of our reputation, especially the longer we've been in a role or the longer we've been running a certain business or the longer we've been in a nonprofit. Like I think we often can become complacent in, oh, well, I've built my reputation. I know what my personal brand is. It's a line, it's what I want it to be. I've done check-ins and now I've been doing this for quite some time and I feel really comfortable. Nothing wrong with that. I love the confidence. However, the personal brand check-in and understanding how you view yourself and knowing that as you learn and grow and become more aware, you will change. You will develop new skills and your brand may need to look different or you may want it to look different. And so having those trusted confidants to check in with that you trust enough that they'll tell you the truth, but they'll do it in a way that it's because they want you to know the truth and develop you and help you be better, right? There's a book and it's escaping me, but she calls it, you want to talk to your trusted critics. So the ones that will give you feedback, but you trust because it's coming from all good places that they're willing to share that feedback with you. It's a great person to check in around your personal brand and make sure you're being extremely aware of what that is and what is aligned to what you want it to be. All right. So in terms of then bringing this into some of the skills and some of the ways to manage time, we're going to spend the majority of the rest of our time in terms of an activity. And this is an activity that I highly recommend you do again on a regular basis. Check in, because as a leader, you're going to change. With your growth and development, you're going to change. And your need to manage your time differently as your business grows, as you evolve and you become more aware, is going to need to change. So in your workbooks, there's an activity, and I call it the ABCD activity. And again, if you don't have access to the workbook or aren't using it, just need a piece of paper and draw 3 lines down it. And I want you to label each column, column A, column B, column C, and column D, just like you see it here on your screen. Cami and Tanya just checking in. Is there any questions that have come in or anything we need to address in the chat? I'm not good at keeping track of that, so I appreciate your help.
We have not had a question or a comment come in quite yet.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, feel free to put them in there if you have them. All right, so with the ABCD activity, I want you to think about this, and this is where I'm going to age myself a bit. But when I was in school, we had report cards with A, B, C, D, and F, and I don't believe they use the letters anymore. I think it's more numbers, and there's even some other letters in there. I have grandkids now, so I don't keep track. That's not my responsibility anymore. But think about this like a report card, if you will. An A column, that is like your top skills and tasks. Like you are the best at your A skills. So we're going to look at tasks and skills that you have going on in your career, in running your business, in your role, whatever that may be. But tasks and skills that you have to do in your life with your career and your business right now. So your A tasks and skills, those are tasks and skills that you are, quite frankly, like one of the best at. Like you excel at these tasks and skills. They give you energy. Like when you do them, you just feel great. Like you're excited to do them. You're excited to work on that task and build that skill and work in that skill. You also thrive when you do these. So you really can just showcase some greatness about yourself when you do these tasks because you're just so efficient and it's such high quality. You're known for being good at these tasks, and like not just known for being good with like the people that know you best, like in your career, in your business, in your networking in your community. People know that you are really great at these, and it's beyond your friends and family group. So that's your A column for tasks and skills. What are those? And just list them out. And I'll talk about the B tasks and skills because oftentimes people sometimes need the description to decide between A and B because they're close, but they're not exactly the same. So for your B tasks and skills, you're pretty good at these tasks. These tasks are ones that you probably say, yeah, I can do it and I can do it really well. It's probably not your like 100% top notch work like A, but it's close. It's close. You're not the best. Like there's other people that can do this in your organization or in your business or in your community better than you some, but you are very good at them. Your energy, from an energy perspective, you get energy from these. Like they don't drain you. You feel good after you do them, but there's just not quite as good as the A task and skill when you're doing them. And for your B, a differentiator, people may not know you're good at these tasks unless like you've shown them the work or you've told them that you can do it, or like they're close family and friends. So I'll give you an example from my perspective. in my business, for leadership, career, and life coaching, for me, coaching one-on-one is absolutely an A task for me, and an A skill, if you will. And for me, I get so much energy when I'm working with people one-on-one. I do like working with groups. I like doing webinars. That gives me energy, but there's just something about that one-on-one connection and building a relationship to help people gain clarity and confidence through various different frameworks that is just so powerful. And so for me, that is definitely an A task or skill. And um, in my corporate career for 23 years, I was with the same company. And so with that company, I became known for coaching and development. Even though I worked in operations and in our contact center and risk management and merchant operations, I was known for coaching and development through building relationships and building a culture, right? So that's an A task for me. B task for me is actually event planning. And I am not an event planner. I am not planning to start a business event planning. However, in my business, I often plan events. I have a program called Kairos Leadership Collective, where I have monthly events for mix and mingles and group coaching and masterminds that we do. I plan all day summits for my business. I plan VIP days, which is an event for small groups to come in and really go through my clarity framework and apply that to their career and their business. So event planning for me is a B task. And the differentiator is event planning isn't well known. Like if you talk about need someone's help to plan an event, I don't think my name will be brought up unless you're a close friend or family member that knows all the events I plan within my business and how I enjoy it. So hopefully that helps differentiate between A and B tasks and skills for you. Okay, so let's talk about C tasks and skills. As you can imagine, these are your average at these tasks and skills. You get a little embarrassed when you have to do these tasks because they're more challenging, or maybe you feel a little uncomfortable. Like, I can do them, but I'm not as comfortable with it. I might make some mistakes, or I'm pretty sure I'm going to make mistakes. So that makes me even more uncomfortable. And it's not necessarily going to show the work like my A and B skills do. You might even get like a little embarrassed when you have to do these tasks, right? So you're like, I can do it, but I know it's not going to be my best quality. So I'm a little embarrassed from doing it or having to do it. And here's the energy part. With a C task, you get tired and you lose energy while you're working on this task, right? So that's your C task and skill. And then for your D task and skill, this is you're just not good at them. Like we all have things we have to do that we are not good at. And that's just being really self-aware and putting the pride out the window. I am not good at some of the things I have to do. So you're not good at these tasks and skills. You're probably worse than most others. Like you can think of 5 people and you're like, they are better at this, they are better at this, they're like, I might be the 5th, but I might even be below that. Like you're just worse than most at these tasks. You're slower, so like you're not as efficient. It takes you much more time to get these tasks and skills done. And these are where you make the most of your mistakes. So you know there's going to be mistakes. You plan on them being mistakes. So it's going to take you longer because you're going to have to fix your mistakes or you're going to have to go ask for help. And when you think about energy, these tasks drain your energy. They literally drain everything from you. In fact, you might have to build in breaks on a regular basis. You might have to step away and come back because it's just so draining to you. So that's the difference between C and D. Let me give you an example from my own life. So a C task for me is, I could pick several, quite frankly, but I have to do it. But for me, it's doing some of the budget work that I have for my business. It's the accounting and, having all of my cash flow and all of my budget tracking updated. I have it on my calendar once a quarter to do it. I plan a whole day for it. It should not take me a whole day. And quite frankly, the task itself does not take me a whole day. But I'm not as good as it. I know I'll make mistakes with it. I know it will drain some of my energy. And I've even thought, you know what? I don't know that I'm as comfortable with this as I should be. So I really need to outsource and hire someone. So guess what I'm doing? I'm hiring someone, but that's another story. But honestly, the embarrassment comes in because I'm like, I feel like I should know this better. Like I'm embarrassed that I don't do this better as a business owner. So that's a C task for me. A D task is in my corporate career budget meetings, going to talk about hire plan and how many head count and the budgeting of those head count and how that changes in terms of efficiencies that we need and KPIs we had. Budget meetings, literally, I had to do them, but they were the most draining meeting for me. They would absolutely suck up so much energy. And I was much slower at making decisions in the budget meetings than others. And I made some mistakes. Like I overestimated or underestimated many a times because that task for me and just the decision making process for me in those meetings were really challenging. So hopefully that helps you with some of yours. All right, so let's talk about how we can use this to manage our time, because in essence, that's what we want to get at today. Through your self-awareness in terms of all that we've talked about so far in terms of getting feedback and how you do that, in terms of your self-awareness and how that impacts your team and your own leadership, and in terms of your self-awareness and how that impacts your personal brand and your relationship with time. So for you, the A and B tasks and skills. From this, I hope that you see that these are tasks and skills that you're working in a lot of the time, and that you're putting yourself in the place to do so more of the time, because these tasks showcase your great strengths. They give you energy. They allow others to see what you're great at so that you have a community around you that can refer or that can promote or that can share their experience, right? Your A and B tasks also come in really, really handy in terms of your calendar and how you look at your energy and your time. So for me, my A and B tasks, whenever I can control it, I schedule those in the morning for me. I schedule those in the afternoon for me, opposite. And the reason being, because I am a morning person. I do my best. I have the most natural energy in the morning. 8 till 11 is like my prime time, but 8 to noon, is good too. And that is my natural energy. I'm a morning person. I get up, I have a routine. I like my 1 cup of coffee. I like to do a devotional. I like to look at my calendar. I like to plan what I'm prioritizing and go. Like I love it. For me, because coaching one-on-one clients and coaching in general is a task for me, I actually schedule that as much as I can, and knowing that some of my clients can't. But when I do have control, I schedule those after lunchtime because it gives me energy. So at my lowest natural energy, I'm scheduling tasks and skills that give me energy, right? So that's how I look at my A and B tasks and skills and really think about how I can plan my day when I have control over the calendar. Now look at your C and D tasks and skills and think about the fact that, when are you scheduling some of these? Are you scheduling these where it makes sense when you already have high energy yourself and you're scheduling C and D tasks at the time that you have natural high energy? So in that sense, you want to use your own energy to the best of your ability to help you manage your calendar. My A and B tasks, schedule them when my energy is low because it gives me energy. My C and D tasks, if I have to do them, then schedule them when in the morning when I have the most natural energy, because these are going to deplete me. So I'm using my energy and what I get from that to my advantage with managing my calendar. This comes in huge handy. Think about this for meetings or for people. So I always like to say, be very self-aware that if you looked at this and did A, B, C, and D for people, Like, we all have A people in our lives. We all have B people, C people, D people. We are C and D people to other people, believe it or not. I am well aware that Suzanne is not for everyone, and that I might be someone that drains energy from someone. I might be someone in a meeting um, that just doesn't sit fully right and they aren't aligned with. Totally fine. I'm aware of that. I use that to my advantage and knowing for my meetings that are C and D, whether it be people or the topics or the task involved in that meeting. I mentioned the budget meeting. Those C and D meetings and C and D people that are involved in those settings, I absolutely, when I have control, schedule those meetings or time with those people in the morning when I have the most energy of my own. Because if I schedule them in the afternoon, it doesn't go near as well. I'm not near as receptive, and there's not as near as much accomplished. I also am conscious of C and D tasks and meetings and people and how I schedule my day. When I go into a meeting and there's some C and D people in that meeting with me, or it's a task that's a COD for me, I very much think about a 15-minute buffer or a 30-minute buffer after that meeting before I go into whatever's next for me in my work. Or I purposely schedule whatever's next for me to be an AB task or an AB meeting with AB people, whatever the case may be. So do you see how you can take this and really use it to help you manage your time and your calendar? And again, should have said this from the beginning. Absolutely aware that you and I, each of us, do not have total control over where our calendars are, especially if we're in a corporation working for others or we're running our own business and we are the team right now, right? I understand that. And that levels the playing field. But I guarantee by using some of this approach, you will find that there's opportunities and pockets where you're not managing some of your time that you could in a different way that would allow you to show up and use your energy in a way that's much more effective and let you be much more efficient and less of a bottleneck to your business, if you will. All right, so I'm going to pause there, and we are coming up at time here. So I want to leave a little bit of time for any questions and make sure that Cami and Tanya, you get any time you need. So in terms of today, I just want to call out your time management strengths and blind spots as a business owner. You were able to identify some of that. Talked about some of your peak productivity times for you to focus on some of your high value business activities, which are your tasks and your skills. We talked about how your internal habits, your relationship with time, and your leadership style impact your daily workflow and your weekly prioritization. And then we talked about a little bit of strategy about building time strategy that supports your growth and your sustainability. And we're going to talk about that more because what's very exciting and what I can't wait is that we actually in October 23rd, keep me honest, Cami and Tanya, we are doing part 2 to this. So we're going to dive into some practical nitty-gritty steps and how you take what we covered today and take it into your everyday calendar and your daily planning and your weekly planning and your goal setting and strategy for your business. So if you liked a little bit of this or a lot of this, then come back October 23rd and I'll open it up to any questions, open it up to any comments, Cami and Tanya, and just any closing remarks.
Perfect. Thank you, Suzanne. Well, I know I'm not sure I've ever thought of my not to-do list before. So that was a good mind shift for me. And so I appreciate you coming on today and just helping us all be better masters of our time. And so Suzanne already mentioned that she's going to be back on October 23rd. And so if you are interested and you're like, I just want to get it signed up today, we dropped the link in the chat. We also put on there a survey link. We'd love to know your feedback about today's webinar or even topics that you're like, I wish Grow Nebraska to bring this topic to our free webinar series. So please take the time and fill that out for us. We'd love it. It's a short, probably 1 to 3 minute survey. And then We will give you a little time. Drop in any comments or questions that maybe popped up. I know I bet most people were just kind of working away, Suzanne. So you had some really great information. We will send a follow-up email and we'll have the information that she provides us in that linked. And so, um, yeah, we'll kind of go over a few more housekeeping. No questions yet, and I think that could just attest to the clarity that you brought to us, or the deep thinking we're doing on how we can restructure our days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. If you took one nugget, that's all that I pray about and think about when I'm presenting this topic, because I'm so passionate about our self-awareness and how that plays into all aspects of our life, but mostly time management, because we could all use a little more time to do the things we want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we can't wait to see everyone back on the 23rd. Because I can't wait to create a schedule that works better for me. And so that is what Suzanne's coming back with on the 23rd. Until then, we do have October 9th. We are bringing in our Grow with Google coach. Oh, you're getting a very good job. Thank you. We appreciate the insight, Rick. Um, so on the 9th, we're bringing in Grow with Google. They're going to be going through how to increase your sales with Google tools. That'll be an awesome presentation. And then on October 16th, we're bringing a financial advisor to actually discuss and strategize smarter financial planning to take your business to the next level. We thought these were great moving into what most people consider a peak holiday season. So to get everyone ready for managing their time more and increasing their sales. So be sure to sign up for those. And then we put our contact information. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you're again, interested in any topics, let us know. If you want to talk about Grow Nebraska or even challenges maybe you're having as a business or successes and networking that we can provide to you across the state, we would love to hear from you. So feel free to reach out or email us. And then we'll check the chat one more time. I haven't seen any questions come up. So thank you again, everybody, for your time and joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next presentation. And again, we just want to give a big thanks to Suzanne for joining us today and presenting on the great time management topic, and as well to our partners and sponsors who make these a free webinar that we can bring to you. So have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone. See you the 23rd.